The issue of college students living in off-campus housing in residential neighborhoods and sometimes getting rowdy is the subject of this week's edition of the Providence Business News. Mark Murphy is the editor of the paper. This is a long-running, decades-old conflict, but some new chapters are being written. Off-campus housing crackdown is the headline. What's the basis?
Well, years ago, Narragansett put in place a law limiting, I think it was 4 unrelated people living in single-family homes, which you could say is, I mean, people used to say in the summer they would rent to people wanting to go to the beach, but during the fall and spring they'd rent to URI students.
Right.
And Providence put in place ordinance saying that you could have 3 unrelated people living in a single-family dwelling, but that's being appealed. So Narragansett is just sort of waiting to see what happens with the Providence case before it moves forward. But as you said, this has been long running.
This has been heard, these complaints in Providence, for mostly Providence College, maybe Rhode Island College too, and some other schools.
And a lot of Brown, actually.
And Brown students too. Narragansett, maybe mostly because of URI. Bristol because of Roger Williams.
Yeah, and Bristol seems to have made its peace with whatever it is. I think the real issue now, and a lot of it is brewing up on the east side of Providence, where about half of the students who are living off campus are Brown students. And the issue being in these sort of quiet, leafy, single-family home neighborhoods, you have some landlords allegedly cutting up these big single-family homes into, maybe more than a dozen students at a time. Now, they don't know that that's worked, but these were sort of lease terms that have been found out. And people are saying it's not even just during the week, it's sort of the detritus after a weekend that really can disrupt a neighborhood.
Your article also mentions an outfit called Providence Student Living Capital, LLC, purchased and renovating more than 100 residential structures just in the last few years. So this seems to be like another new twist to this.
Well, the issue there is that in 2 or 3 family zones, you can have, even following the ordinance, you can have multiple students living in it. And that's actually one of the things the city is looking at, and a lot of the people in the city and city government want to extend this 3-person limit to 2 and 3 family zones as well. I mean, they want to try to maintain the residential neighborhood, which is different than, say, apartment buildings, obviously, and a lot of those renovated structures are small apartment buildings. So it doesn't conflict with this idea.
There are a lot of moving parts to the problem and the efforts to solve the problem, and it's all in the current issue in print and online of the Providence Business News. And Mark Murphy, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Frank.